Oh, hello, friends. Brian Shircliff here, and I've got an important question for you. Why is your ability to stand on one foot an indicator of your health? Why is your ability to stand on one foot an indicator of your health? Well, think about some of the things you might do on one foot. I don't know, maybe reaching into a cupboard ends up having all the weight on more on one foot than another. Maybe other things you do, but there's one thing we all do if we're healthy is walking, right? Walking is an experience of being able to stand on one foot, even for just a split second, right? So I invite you just to come for a second and check it out with me. So simply stand if it's okay for you to stand. You could stand behind a chair. You can have a hand on a chair. I have a hand on a chair in front of me. And just notice what it's like to stand here. So this is two-footed support, very supported way of being on the earth, right? For those of us that can stand, it's very supported. Slide a foot back into a step position so you have one foot just back a little further than the other. And notice what it's like to let weight travel into that forward foot. Maybe the back heel could peel away from the ground. Maybe even you could even like only just have a couple toes of that back foot on the ground, but can you stand easily on that forward foot? That's what we have to do when we walk. You can check it out with the other foot if you want. Slide the other foot back into a step position. Notice what it's like to let weight travel into that forward foot. That is a sign of your health. That's something we work with in Bones for Life all the time, because if we aren't able to stand on a foot for a split second, that's challenging, right? It's challenging for our balance. We're constantly, falling in our walking or feeling not so stable, not so confident. So all these Bones for Life processes begin to play into our ability to stand tall and with ease on one foot. So we have this little test that we devised in our immersions that we explore on the first day and on the very last day of immersion 1 and the very last day of immersion 3, where we invite you, and I invite you to check it out for yourself right now, invite you to stand for a moment behind a chair. Do you have something you can put your hands on? Can't quite see my chair there, but I've got a chair here. It's a little low. And I'll just coach you through this just to see what your response is. So what's it like when I'll say it. So I'll say ready, and I'll say lift your right foot. Set, lift your hands, go. Then I'll count off seconds, right? And we'll see how many seconds you can stand on one foot. Anytime you need to, you put your hands down on the chair, right? Anytime you need to. So let's check it out, see what happens. So ready, lift your right foot. Set, lift your hands, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Lower your hands. Go find a piece of paper, walk and find a piece of paper, write down your number, but also write down a little descriptor of what it was like for you. How would you describe the experience of standing on that one foot? I'll give you a few seconds for that. I'll walk around a little bit while you're doing that. Maybe I should write down my number. Write down my number. Be a smart student. And you can put that was your left foot, right? You could put a little L next to it or something. If you want to, you could put them in the chat too. I'd be fascinated by that. And then let's check it out with the other foot. Let's see what that's like. So I'll say ready again. Lift your left foot, set, lift your hands, go, and we'll count them off. Okay. So ready, lift your left foot, set, lift your hands if you can, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Lower your hands, lower your foot. Write down your second number and a little descriptor. Maybe you notice a difference in stability from the left foot being on the ground versus the right foot being on the ground. So after you've written down your number a little bit and your descriptor, let's just see what Bones for Life offers this. So we taught you shared all kinds of things in the live cast, right? But I'll just remind you of one thing. We'll see if this might improve your numbers already. Remember that thing that Andrea shared with us where we were crossing one arm on top of the other? Improve my camera a little bit here. So just simply standing or sitting in a chair, if that's better for you, you slide one hand, rotate one arm on top of the other. And maybe this is enough already, or maybe you could bring your fingers together and maybe even begin to put your fingers between each other, the fingers of your right hand between the fingers of your left hand. But can you do it in a way that your arms can be long? And notice that one shoulder is now higher than the other, right? Let's let it go and do it again, just to rest for a second. Rotate one arm on top of the other. Interlace your fingers in this long way. Kind of have your arms hugged to your torso. Look out into the distance, and let's bounce on our heels like we shared long ago. Bum, 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 bum. One more. Bum, bum. Let it go. Walk around a little bit, or imagine you're walking. Just kind of integrate that idea a little bit. And then bring yourself back to your chair. And how about the side that needs the most improvement, the one where you weren't able to stand on that foot quite as long? Keep standing on that foot. Ready? Lift the one foot. Keep standing on the foot that you were hoping to improve a little bit, hoping that number gets in better. Set. Lift your hands. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Lower your foot. Write down that number. Maybe you got some improvement. Could it be possible that Bones for Life, in such a small little dose, could help you to improve your ability to stand tall on one foot, which prevents falls, keeps you balanced, keeps you confident, begins to have a better chance of building bone health, right? Because that ping of the ground force travels through you, gravity travels down, and all your bones are getting that beautiful information to continue building health, keeping you healthy. Could it be possible that Bones for Life helps with that? Well, maybe you already got some benefit, right? And that was just a tiny idea of one process. Imagine if you did the whole process. Imagine if you did all 90 processes of Bones for Life, or the 75 to 80 probably more like 80 that we share with you in immersions 1, 2, and 3. Although there are some bonus ones that we give you that aren't even in the program. So it might be closer to like 83, 84 processes we share with you. In those 3 immersions, those 60 hours of experience, of wonderful experiences. Imagine what your life would be like, because all these things, they matter. They begin to speak to you in a very functional way, right? In a very deep way that begin to help you to be able to stand tall on one foot with ease, so that your walking is 1, easy, but 2, becomes a pleasure. That key thing that Norman Doidge says in that beautiful book that many of us read a while back, The Brain's Way of Healing. He says the most important exercise of all that he'd studied was walking. We know that from study after study after study. But, some of us, are not able to walk because maybe we get a little ache or pain, or we've had an injury that prevents us from being able to walk. And our world gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Well, Bones for Life helps to begin to, in a systems approach way, begins to invite all these things that were difficult to get easier, 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 and our world begins to grow. So just to give you a little sense of what it was like for people who took immersions 1 through 3, we did that little 10-second standing test on the very first day of immersion 1 with the group that we just finished with. And we had scores, there were a lot of people in the 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s. We had a few people with 10s, but they said their descriptors, they said they just felt a little wobbly. They might be able to stand on one foot, but they just said they didn't feel so stable a lot of times. Or they had a real preference, a significant difference preference from one foot to the other. We all have a little preference, right? We need that. It's healthy to have. It's a healthy thing if you're 10 and 10 on each foot, but one feels just slightly more stable than the other. That's a healthy human being too. We can talk about that in immersions. But what was amazing to me was the response at the end of immersion 1, how many people, their number increased significantly. By the end of immersion 3, I couldn't believe almost everybody had 10s. People with some significant challenges too had found that the processes of Bones for Life began to answer their problems and work through their system in a way that suddenly it became easier to stand tall on 2 feet, stand tall on 1 foot, and to be more stable, to be more confident on that foot. And their life opened up, right? Walking becomes a pleasure. There are places that you want to go. There are people that you want to see. There are flowers that need to be visited and smelled, I always say, at least on my walks anyway. Dogs that need to be visited. Neighbors that need a conversation. Neighbors that you want to talk with. That whole thing. Bones for Life begins to work with those things. You can even make it more challenging for yourself, right? I won't do this now, but you can make it more challenging for yourself to even see, if you can stand on 1 foot and have your chair nearby, right? And your numbers are near 10 or near 10, and you feel pretty stable. Can you do it with your eyes closed? Can you lift your hands, lift 1 foot from the ground, lift your hands, close your eyes, and see if you can stand on that 1 foot for 10 seconds? And if not, do a Bones for Life process, which you remember from the live cast. Even if it's simply bouncing on heels, right? See if that does something for you. And see if your numbers begin to improve, because Bones for Life begins to speak in that deep way to a human nervous system that knows what it's like to continue to learn and figure things out and wants to find a way to make life easier on this planet. So happy to answer any questions. You have questions right now, you can put them in the chat, or you can put them in the Facebook group. Or you can send a note to support@futurelifenow.com. Or you could even join us in just a little bit, 2 p.m. Eastern, if you're just seeing this video now, for another Q&A with Cynthia and me. And we'll answer your questions and help you to find out if Bones for Life is right for you and which immersions might be right for you. And we'd love for you to join us on the journey. We're so inspired by everyone that got such great progress through immersions 1 through 3. And all the people that we've been with in these immersions and all the people we've been with in the teacher trainings. It's such a rich experience, and looking forward to seeing you on the journey with us. Peace, 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 friends. Thanks for joining.